Welcome, everybody. It's Brian Anderson and Sid Michael. We're here on this bonus webinar today to talk to you specifically about how to crush the gatekeeper like a pro. And for those that don't know Sid's a 20-year automotive veteran, former GM in the automotive business. Sid, you've had them all, I imagine, from sales to finance to management at this point, right?
Correct.
All right, and myself, my background is not in sales. It's in marketing and search, social media, and mobile, and been doing it a long time. And I am not the biggest cold caller. And I said, I know Sid Michael is a true master of like a one-call kind of close and how to interact with not only the customer, but more specifically for this call, how to interact with the gatekeeper. So Sid, what do you think? You want to get this thing started?
Yeah, let's get started. Thanks everybody for taking their time with me. We're gonna go through. It is kind of it's just a quick some quick examples and some quick stuff that I put in your. It's not scripts, but it's stuff that I'm going to load and get in your mind and kind of give you a route to take when you're getting past the gatekeeper. If everybody's ready to go, let's start.
Yep, and you know what? Before we start, this is obviously targeted at automotive, but you can use a lot of these principles in any industry, but the examples and what we're going to talk specifically about today are going to be automotive. Feel free to ask any questions. We'd be glad to take them. We'll probably do them midway through to the end of the call. It won't be a long call. It'll be under an hour, so we respect your time. With that being said, Sid, let's do it.
All right, cool. Next slide.
Oh, next slide.
All right, so obviously we're talking about the automotive industry, and that's where that's what I particularly call on day in and day out. And that's one of the niches that I focus on. And I know some of y'all, or maybe all of y'all, might be focusing towards automotive industry now. If we can go to the next slide, let's get started about it. The gatekeeper. The gatekeeper here can be anybody from a receptionist to an assistant. It's basically somebody to decide or decipher whether or not you or what you're calling about is worth putting through to the decision maker. So what we want to do is think of professional ways to handle receptionists and assistants, gatekeepers, and how to bypass them when they're not needed at all. So if we go to the next slide. What I like to kind of go over is why there actually is a gatekeeper. It's most important that you realize that gatekeepers are taught to protect the general manager or dealer principal in this case, because we are focusing it towards automotive, or shall we say screen calls, so the decision makers only speak with the people they want to speak with. They don't want to get their time wasted talking to somebody who's trying to sell something they've heard before. So knowing that, when you're calling in, if we can go to the next slide, when you're calling in, you want to make sure that of understanding exactly what else the gatekeeper is going to do. It's very likely the gatekeeper or assistant has been given instructions with regard who to put through and who they want to keep at bay. Understanding this element is critical. The gatekeeper is used to taking instructions from others. Obviously they're used to being told what they want them to be done each day, or maybe a job description. So I like to go at them kind of with the same authority. Not rude, not overbearing, but matter of fact and to the point. And what I use and remind myself every time before I walk through a door is go to the next slide. When speaking to them, understand that you don't want to say please, because it puts you at a position of inferiority, or you're asking them like please. You want to say thank you. And just to give you an example, and you want to say things like this. Hello, Susie, can you put me through to Brian Anderson? Thank you. You wouldn't want to say, hey, Susie, can I please talk to Brian Anderson? Because then you're asking them for a favor, and a lot of times they'll say, what are you calling for? Or they'll start getting more intuitive and trying to figure out, and maybe might block you. Realize the purpose of this call, what we want to get at the end, is you want to keep up with how many pitches you're giving, how many times you get blocked at the front by a gatekeeper, and how many doors you're walking in. You should keep up with this on a weekly basis. You should always know. So
What's a good
obviously,
goal? What's a good goal to actually get in? Is there a number that you keep in mind?
70%.
70% getting past the gatekeeper, if you will.
Getting past the gatekeeper. And if you're getting less than 70%, then you need to work on exactly what we're talking about today. And you'll find yourself getting in and pitching more. So let's just say you go into 10 dealerships, you get held up by 3, you get to pitch 7, and if you're closing 1 out of 4, then you want to be able to get past to 8, and then you're getting an extra deal every month. See how the math works? And the more pitches you do, the better you get at your pitch, and the more closes you'll get, and the more customers you'll get in the long run. So one thing that I've found works more often than not, say thank you, not please. You're still being polite, you're still being to the point, and but you're also being professional all at the same time, but you also are coming across authoritative. Nobody really can question you when you say, hey, Susie, can you put me through to Brian Anderson? Thank you. Obviously, I put in brackets there. It's better if you can research and use their name. I've showed everybody I deal with how you can go on the internet, and more times than not, the general manager is listed on their website. So I like to do a little bit of research, find out who it is I need to speak with, and get through and get to them and get my pitch. Next. Now you got hardcore gatekeepers. If they are trained to screen you no matter what, and I like to do what Tom Hopkins does in this case. I'll say, my name's Sid Michael. I'm calling regarding, and this is when you give a benefit of your product. You don't want to give them a service, a feature, a name, but a benefit. And the reason why is, I'll give you an example. When you call, if I say, hey, my name's Sid Michael, I'm calling regarding Spike Promotions. Can I speak to Brian Anderson? Well, a lot of times they're going to screen me and say, well, what is Spike Promotions? And basically, it immediately lets them know that I'm selling something. So if you give them a benefit, and a lot of times the benefit may or may not would affect their daily job, then they relate to you more on a basis, and they might say, wow, we need that. I want to put you through. So if we'll go to the next slide, I'll actually go over some benefits that I wrote. In most cases, some of the things that I like to say is, hey, my name's Sid Michael. I'm calling regarding increasing your traffic to sell more cars. Well, they like, wow, well, I know we need to sell more cars. Hang on a second, let me put you through to Brian Anderson. They don't. It benefits them, so they get benefits out of that. Or I've even said, and people laugh, but I say this a lot. I have a way to give you a raise. Give everybody a raise. Naturally, everybody, anytime a gatekeeper hears that, they're like, wow, I want a raise. I haven't had a raise in a year. This guy's going to give me a raise. So a lot of times that'll get you right through. And I know a lot of people do rep management, so I came up with one to help everybody with that. You would say, hey, my name's Sid Michael. I'm calling regarding improving your company's image in the marketplace. It's given a benefit of what you're doing. If you can tie your benefit to something that might benefit the screener, all the better. So that's why I always kind of like the one that says, hey, I'm going to give everybody in there a raise. Can I speak to Brian Anderson? And it tends to work a lot better. So more often than not, you're going to find this is going to get you right past that gatekeeper and able to get more pitches. And with more pitches comes more deals and more income and more revenue. So if we can go to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Was there any questions?
Now we'll hit them at the end, Sid.
All right. Cold calling. Sometimes you're cold calling and you have no idea who you need to speak with, and you're truly doing a true cold call. Maybe the general manager who you need to speak with, or in other industries, you don't know who you're supposed to speak with. I generally like to go through it like this. My name's Sid Michael. I'm in business in your local community. I'm calling regarding online reputation. Who in your company is responsible for that? By the way, who am I speaking with? And the reason why you say that is because you want to get on a first name basis. Nothing is more personal than knowing the person's first name. So, my name's Sid Michael. I'm in business in your local community. You're putting yourself on their same level. I'm calling regarding giving everybody in there a raise. Who in your company is responsible for that? By using online reputation. Who in the company is responsible for that? By the way, who am I speaking with? And, you know, she would say, well, Susie. Oh, great, Susie, I appreciate it. Put me through to Brian Anderson. Thank you.
Yes. So Sid, when you do the two questions back to back, the who in your company is responsible, and then that's a question. Then you go, by the way, who am I speaking with? Is that to kind of put them off and then kind of get personal with them? Is that the second question?
Well, obviously, you want to get personal with them, and you want to, you know, once you give up your first name, once you tell somebody your first name, you're in a personal relationship with them right there. Plus, it makes them feel important, and they are important. They're important for you to get through to pitch the decision maker. So, you know, and it just acknowledges them. It's a respect thing, I think.
Okay. All right, I'm with you.
Next slide.
Oh, you should see it. Hang on a sec. Try that again. Actually, Sid, that's our last of the prepared slides. I think what we talked about is we do some role playing together.
Okay. Let's do that.
I thought keeping it real, we didn't want to have a lot of slides as we talked about it because it's not a slideware kind of skill set. Getting past the gatekeeper, really there's two ways, Sid, right? There's over the phone and there's in person. So if why don't I'll be the receptionist at a dealership, and why don't we do something where it's real world? You're actually walking in the dealership randomly.
Yeah, that's cool. And the last thing I just wanted to mention is whenever you say, by the way, who am I speaking with? Okay, Susie, you say Brian Anderson. You always want to repeat the person's name that they give you, because it could be, for instance, my name. They could say Sid Michael, and maybe you misunderstood and thought she said Sid Mitchell or Sid Michaels. You always want to repeat their name and say, okay, so Brian Anderson, to make sure that you're pronouncing it right, and to make sure that you're, you know, because if you get through and you start calling the guy by the wrong name, we've all had that guy call us before. It's a quick way to get turned off. So when you say, by the way, who am I speaking with? Susie. Great, Susie. So Brian Anderson is the person I need to speak with. You want to ask her that last question just to make sure you're pronouncing the guy's name right. The other thing, if you really want to be a professional in this whole deal, if you really want to blow people away and making us, you know, if you know this client is one that you want to, you know, continually chisel at and work on and try and leave a good residual with, write Susie a thank you card. Go in the mail. It's going to cost you 42 cents, but trust me, it's worth every bit of that 42 cents. You just made her very important. You showed that you respect her. I promise you, next time you call in, you're going to be like, hey, Susie, it's Sid Michael. Did you get my card? Well, I just wanted to let you know, thank you. Is Brian in again? Yes, no problem. You really want to put that extra icing on the cake? You know, you can get these little thank you cards at Walmart. I think I paid like $6 for 20 of them or something like that. It's well spent money, I promise you, especially if you're working in your local area that you know these might be somebody you might go back in again or try and sell even something else to, or you just want to really establish that rapport. By mailing a thank you card to Susie goes a long way. And that is being proper and professional. It's just that extra little bit. But yeah, you want to do some role playing, Brian? Maybe help everybody out here?
Yeah, you know what we'll do is, Sid, why don't we start out, and I see a few familiar names on the call. If I can hit up any of you that want to actually do this live with one of us, go ahead and put it in the Q&A box and or send us a chat message. I see Secret Agent Ken. I see you here, and a few others. So if one of you guys wants to actually do a little live role play, that'd be great. If not, that's okay too. But Sid, why don't we do dealership first, and what we'll do is I'll be the receptionist, and you can kind of demonstrate coming into the dealership.
Okay. Well, all right. I mean, if we're doing a walk-in, I would walk right past the receptionist.
All right. Well, all right. You open the door. I'm going to set the scene. You open the door. It's a Honda dealership, and I'm like, "Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?"
I'm doing awesome. Any better? Vitamins would take me. I know where I'm going. Walk right past.
So, all right, so you're going to walk past the receptionist, which I get in a high-volume industry like automotive. Obviously, that probably doesn't work in every other industry. In automotive specifically, would you say 99% of the time just brush by, say, be polite, but move right past them?
In the auto industry, what I found is, you know, sometimes I can talk lingo or let them know that I know what I'm doing, or I can walk up to a salesman or maybe even catch a sales manager out appraising a car, or, you know, or maybe even walk up to the desk and say, hey, man, I got something really cool for for Brian Anderson, the general manager. You know, a lot of times they'll ask, what do you got? And the thing is they're not taught to screen you. If you can give them a quick pitch that sounds like something that's going to help them, you know, if you let them know, hey, listen, I got a way to give everybody in here a raise. I need to talk with the general manager. Is he available? They'll give you a lowdown real quick. Yeah, you can talk to him, but he's a real jerk. Or, you know, you can talk to him, but he's a you know, he really enforces having an appointment. Say, listen, I would have set an appointment. I was, you know, I just so-and-so down the street. I had a meeting with Parks Chevrolet down the street. I thought I was just going to stick my head in. I want to put my face with my name because I know he's going to be wanting to do business with me. You know, if he has a available minute, I know he's busy. I'm busy too. Let's, you know, let's spend 5 minutes together and see if I can't do things. A lot of times speaking with a manager or something like that, they'll be able to walk you right into that general manager's office. In the car business, I don't know why it is, you get stopped at the receptionist. That is a way you can go, and you can be professional and meet Susie and tell her that you're waiting or that you want to, you know, speak with Brian Anderson, the general manager. And what happens more often than not, you sit in the showroom for 45 minutes or an hour, and even then he may or may not even come out. They'll tell you he's coming out, but you get put on ice.
And getting put on ice basically means he's blowing you off.
Blowing you off, or just has something more important at the time to do than to come out and talk to you. You know, he might not understand what you said you did, so he don't want to look like an idiot. He just don't want to come out. Why the automotive industry breeds that, I have no idea.
Yeah, and Sid, you know, Edwin just said, also don't give them a business card. They'll do the same thing with it.
Same thing. Same thing. Well, he's got your number. I'll call you back. And a lot of times, you know, obviously, if you get blown off at the front, always ask for the general manager's business card. Always. Can I get the general manager's business card? And I have 3-ring binders full of every business card from here to Tennessee to Kentucky of about every city around here. What's scary is how often those business cards go bad because of the turnover.
Yeah, What is the turnover rate? I mean, is it 10, 20% in automotive? What about the general manager level? How high do they turn over?
I mean, it just depends on which store. I mean, I know a store that's had 4 general managers in the last year, but I also know stores that have had the same general manager for 15 years. But for whatever reason, there is a high turnover rate. I'll tell you this. I was at a big, large Toyota store. They promoted me out of finance to be a used car director, and I was like, ugh. I almost didn't even want to take the promotion because there were 7 people, very, very strong car guys too, like very respected car guys that were very successful in the Atlanta area that sat in that seat and got blown out. So I'm like, is this a promotion or a calling to blow me out in 30 days? You know what I mean? But no, I got up there and was very successful.
Okay, so we talked about the gatekeeper. So in automotive specifically, you know, it's, hey, I'm good, thank you very much, and just you keep walking past him or her, the receptionist.
Yes.
All right. What about if we do a live call, Sid? Maybe you be the receptionist, and I'll try to get past you in this case.
Sure.
All right. And you know what I'll do for everybody else? I'll move the slides back. All right. Here you go. You should see it now, you guys. All right, Sid.
Thank you for calling Honda. You calling about the big sale today?
Hi, no, I'm not. My name is Sid Michael. I'm calling you regarding reputation management. I want to tell you how I can help improve the Honda dealership's reputation in Dunwoody. Can you put me through to Tom Johnson?
Thank you.
I forgot. So end with a thank you. Instead of a please, it's being polite, right?
Right, because you're being proper, and it kind of cuts them off. Thank you is like a way to say thank you. Do you feel like talking after somebody says thank you to you? Really, the only thing we're taught to say is you're welcome. I'll put you through.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why thank you is very powerful. If you say please, then you're leaving an open-ended question almost.
Well, let's do another one where you take I'll take the please route and watch how weak it sounds.
Okay. Thank you for calling Honda. You calling about the big sale today?
Hi, no, I'm not. My name's Brian. I'm trying to find the general manager. Can you give me his name, please?
Hold on a second. Yeah.
It's not bad. Look at the difference. Total point of weakness.
Hey, my name's Sid Michael. I'm calling because I have a way to give everybody in there a raise. but it would require me to speak to the person in touch with online management. Who would that be?
Yeah.
Then what would you say?
I still like ending it with thank you better. I feel like it ends the conversation. You know, it's like, hey, put me through.
It does once she gives you the name. But in this case, you don't know the name. You're calling in, you're calling in blind.
So
only if you have the name can you go straight to thank you. You got that hiccup in the middle if you're not able to. If you're doing a true cold call and don't have their name, you got to say, you got to give them a benefit, and then you got to kind of ask them, for the name, and they got to say, well, Brian Anderson. Say, great, Brian. Thank you, Susie. Or you say, thank you, Susie, Brian Anderson. So she says, yeah. Make sure you pronounced it correctly. Great. Can you put me through to Brian Anderson? Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, and a thank you definitely feels like a cutoff. It's a polite way to cut them off.
It's an extremely polite way to cut them off.
Okay, good. I like it, Sid. What else? What other kind of role play should we do right now to really talk about a gatekeeper? Now, if we wanted to go beyond automotive, obviously we wouldn't walk right past the gatekeeper. That's a recipe for disaster, everybody. Specifically, Sid and I are focused heavily on automotive. That's why we're talking about it. But for those of you that are in another niche, you're probably not going to be able to do the walk-in approach effectively like you can in automotive. If there's a high volume of people in a showroom kind of situation like a dealership, it really lends itself well to that. But you're not going to walk past a receptionist and go back and see the doctor or see the dentist. It's not going to happen.
I mean, when you're stopped and you got to deal with Susie no matter what, I mean, obviously you want to get on a personal level with her as soon as possible, but by getting her first name or their first name is the fastest way to do it. And then, once you get on a personal level, you can ask them for help. People are impelled to help you. So you would say, hey, you got to help me out. I got something great and give everybody in here a raise. But I need to speak with the head chiropractor. Be honest with me, Susie. Is it hard to talk to him? And she'll tell you. They'll tell you or put you through.
Yeah, here's a good comment once again from Edwin. Edwin Sanchez says, guys, we sell extended warranties to dealerships, and Sid is right. You walk in, you take control.
Wow. Who's Edwin with?
Edwin, who do you sell with? Who's your, if you're comfortable saying, who's your extended warranty company? So we'll get that, and we'll tee it up, guys. But
I worked with JM&A, Edwin, just to let you know. I did some extended warranties, extended service contracts. Not allowed to call them warranties.
Yeah. It's all about a service contract. Well, listen, Sid, when you're calling on a gatekeeper in automotive, is the goal then every single time you want to brush past it, even if you get the voicemail of the general manager, you don't want to be stopped at the gatekeeper? Is there anything else you can get useful out of the gatekeeper in automotive? Maybe any kind of dirt or insight?
Well, I mean, the receptionists are especially the receptionist at any automotive store. If you get really just hung up, stuck with her, she knows everything. She knows who's dating who's getting fired. I mean, sometimes they know if you're going to lose your job before you do, because they hear who's calling in. They get a real feel of the pulse of a dealership for sure. Our receptionist that we had in my first car dealership reminded me of the mother on Who Everybody Loves Raymond. Her name was Lois,
Yeah.
And yeah. It was exactly just like her sitting there answering the phones, and she knew everything. It couldn't be told nothing, but.
Yeah, Edwin said he sells endurance and Warren Tech, Amtrust Financial.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Good money in contracts.
For sure. So let's kind of net this out. So when you call in, you want to end in control. You want to use thank you. You want to be polite, but you don't want to be in a position of weakness, like your typical question with the word please at the end.
Correct.
What other takeaways, Sid, can we use here?
The main thing is when you want somebody to call you back, you don't want to give them too much on the phone. You want to leave a question. So to give you an idea, for instance, if you would never, for instance, let's say you're calling somebody back and you're supposed to get back together with them on price. You would never call them up, leave a message going, "Hey man, just want to let you know that was going to be $1,000, $1,200 a month." You always want to say, "Listen, I got something huge for you. You're going to give them a benefit, call me back. You need to hear about it. So you always want to leave that kind of that question. If you get stopped or if you get just put, absolutely shut out, you want to leave something that makes them curious more often than not. Don't be that guy that doesn't leave a message. Maybe once, but maybe once if you get stuck with a voicemail. Maybe once, but after that, I would go through and just let them know who you are. Because chances are you're going to forget who they are too. Before I'd always be the guy that I like leaving messages.
No, it makes sense, Sid. So the point of a gatekeeper is for you to get past them, or our mission, if you will. And in automotive, Sid, what's the likelihood that when you get in front of a general manager, you can actually get to a decision in the first meeting? What's the goal of the first meeting? Kind of going beyond the gatekeeper. We've gotten there. You're talking to Tom Johnson. He's the GM. You've got him interested. Do you go for the close? Do you go to score the deal, or do you go to set up meeting two?
Well, when I decipher whether or not I go for the close is whether or not I've built value, and you'll know talking with that guy or that person if you've built value in your product or not. If you can build value over price, that always equals a sale. So when you're building value, if you feel like you've seen some buy-in signs that you've built enough value for this product, I go for the close. If they're like, man, yeah, I like this, or if they say, wow, I didn't think it would be that cheap, or I was thinking it'd be around $2,000, or blah blah blah. I'll tell you something that's kind of cool. This kind of goes away from the gatekeeper thing a little bit, but one thing that's kind of cool to ask a customer. Let me ask you something. If you had a gumball machine and you could buy customers out of it, how much would each gumball cost? So you're putting in something simple that we've all done, and that's buy gumballs, right? But if you could have a customer out of there, Brian, if you could have a bona fide gumball customer machine, how much would you pay for a gumball? Well, a customer to me is worth $200. Well, then when you break down the return on investment and show the type of return that you're going to give them, and you break down we can increase your business 5%. You're doing 1,000 customers. That's 50 customers. They're worth $200. That's worth $10,000 a month to you. Well, then you kind of know how to set what your pricing would be. And they've already told you that you're worth $10,000. Say, well, great. Listen, from what you showed me and what you told me, I'm worth $10,000 a month. I'm not even going to charge you that. What I'm going to charge you is $6,500. Is that value over price? Does that make sense? Is that something you got to think about? Are you serious? Are you ready to really go to the next level with this? You know what I mean? You want to ask off buying questions before presenting them with a close.
Got it. Okay, I like the value over price. That's a great takeaway. And that's fundamental regardless of what you're selling. I don't care if it's mobile, if it's rep management, search, SEO, it doesn't matter.
I'll give you something physically you can do. When you're holding a contract or a menu or whatever you choose to use to pitch, if you'll put it up against your chest while you're talking to them, and if they're laying back in their seat and you go to pull that menu off your chest, if you'll watch the guy you're pitching, the decision maker, if you see him lean forward in his chair, put it back against your chest and lean back in your chair again. Don't show it to him yet. Make him almost come off the edge of his chair before you show him. You'll see. Try that next time. People are funny.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I got another question, Sid. What is, and this is a little beyond the gatekeeper, what's an average kind of price point we should be looking for in automotive? So a typical deal, and I know we've talked about this at length, but we get this question all the time. If you're going in there and you're selling a combination of services, should I always try to get 1,000 is the question? Should I try to get a couple thousand? And I know it goes back to the value over price, but what number do you have in your head when you're going in the dealership?
Well, I'm going to assume that most of these people haven't taken my course to know. So let's real quick, let's use a large store because there's small, medium, there's small, large, and mega stores, okay? A large store sells between 250 and 400 cars. An average dealership spends about an average of 400 a car in advertising. Sometimes they spend 250 in advertising. Okay, so when you're looking at a dealership that sells 400 cars a month, they're spending between 100 and 160,000 a month in advertising. So when you go in to present your product, know that what you bring has value. In your case, maybe you're doing SEO, rep management, and let's say some SMS mobile stuff. I would hit them at 6,500, 7,000, maybe hit them at 10 grand, let them talk you down. And, you know, I mean, just to verify, what did you just close your last car customer at, Brian?
My last one was 6,500. I got a new one in the works right now. It's 5,000, but the deal that I actually got was 6,500.
What did we charge the guy that we worked together with on that one time?
What did I charge or what did you charge?
What did I hit him on? What did he buy at?
Yeah, I had a number in my head. It was 1,500. It was a very small dealership in a small town in West Virginia, and I was thinking 1,500. They're already kind of ranked. You know, we can kind of insulate them from their competition, expand a few things. Sid hits them at 10,000. The guy didn't blink. I mean, he immediately responded negatively, you might say, to Sid, and the net result, I think he said something to the effect of, "I'm not paying anything over 5,000." So immediately, you know, Sid's 10,000 was out the window, but we would now realize that he was willing to spend 5,000 on the services.
And the reason why he was willing to spend 5,000 is maybe in his head his number was 3,500, but we built the value to 3,500, right? And then when you hit somebody at 10,000, you get their thinking up. I call it peeling them off the season. Boom, they blow up out of the chair and hit the ceiling, right? And what they're thinking in their mind is, Jesus, 10,000 a month. If I could get this for 5,000, I'd be happy. Well, bottom line is you just raised them 1,500 from what their original thought was, right? So always try somebody on like that. And in this case, it worked. The guy got his thinking up, $5,000, and we closed the deal. So.
Okay. All right, Sid. 45 minutes. I think we've netted out, you know, how to get past the gatekeeper. Anything else you want to add in terms of on the phone? Anything else? Any other tips to kind of get past them?
You know, once again, these are not scripts to use. I wouldn't use exact. Words or anything like that. I would just remember to put this into your own personality and be yourself, because people can smell when you're talking from a script. We've all had script people call us. Nobody likes it. You know, you just want to make sure that you do it yourself. It's not embarrassing. Shut your door, stand in front of your mirror in your bathroom, and practice. You know, make sure that the more times you practice, the better it feels. Some of you are just natural. You're going to walk in and be able to do this tomorrow. Other of you are going to add, you know, maybe add this, a little bit of this to what you already say that works. And then others of you have never walked in a door before. You're going to maybe get a little bit more confidence now that you've learned how to get past the gatekeeper, and go in there and try it. You know, bottom line is there's nothing to it until you do it. So don't be afraid, and get out there and get in front of some people.
So before we move on, I want to read two questions, and then we'll move towards wrapping this up. But Edwin, again, great timing. He was going to his team was going to rate our services too cheap. I almost forgot to hit him between the eyeballs. You can always come down. I think he brings up a good point. When you're pricing these deals, and it doesn't matter if it's automotive or not, you can always drop the price. You can't go up.
Right. And also, you know, always remember to stay in control of the situation, and the person asking the questions is the one that's in control of the situation. So if you'll answer questions with questions, you'll control the conversation all the way through till you get the contract.
All right, and last question, we have Steve. Steve says, do you use any kind of, and I think you answered it, Sid, but maybe we hit on it again. Do you guys have any kind of car dealer script? And maybe talk about the whole concept of a script and what's good and bad.
I mean, I personally don't use a script for myself. You know, I like people to be natural. Now, if you're running some sort of phone room or some sort of boiler room where you're calling, you know, doing a lot of cold calling, you know, at the level of people that you're able to hire, you would be forced to script them. But I personally do not use a script.
All right. I like it. I don't either. I mean, I have a problem with scripts. They make you try to fit in a box, and more than likely you sound fake, and it's just not you. You gotta put your personality into it. And I think for me, Sid, I don't do a lot of cold calling. I probably am guilty of the whole please thing. I try to be nice. I want to be polite, but I can be polite. I just need to end with a thank you, not a question mark. Please.
Right. Yeah. It's
amazing. It's that simple. If you take that away from this call, next time you do a call, it doesn't even have to be for sales. You want to get put through to somebody for, you know, something for your family, whatever it may be. Try ending with a thank you, not with a please, and watch what happens. I think it's a good takeaway.
And if you're serious about sales, you need to be measuring how many pitches, how many doors you're walking through, how many gatekeepers you're talking to, and how many decision makers you're pitching. You need to know that number, no matter what it is, because unless you monitor that, you're not going to know if you're getting better or worse. And maybe you pick up something new that you think is working, but yet your numbers start changing. You'll know you're not. The only way to know exactly where you stand and exactly what you're doing with yourself is you got to monitor your production and monitor your success. And don't monitor it by the balance in your banking account. Monitor it by how many doors you walk through, how many gatekeepers you speak with, how many decision makers, and how many you close. Everybody should know that at any time. In the car business, we used to walk around with a football. The general manager walked around with a football, and if he threw the football to you, you had to tell him your numbers.
Nice. Okay, I get it. So know your numbers, track your accomplishments. Even when you fail, keep track of it. Otherwise, you won't know what you need to kind of hit the next level. How many more calls? But good stuff. Anything else? We'll take one last round. Anybody else with questions on getting past the gatekeeper? We have Sid Michaels. Sid will help us with anything you need. We'd be more than glad to take them right now. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. Let's see, Sid. I'm going to give it one more time here. Yeah, Jim and others, we will record this call, and you'll get a copy of it. And Sid, looks like we're good. I want to tell you thank you very much.
Awesome.
I hope you have a good afternoon.
Yep.
And we'll talk soon.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.